Hi there. Today I'd like to talk about grief and a particular kind of grief I think that sometimes is not really identifiable unless you have somebody pointed out to you who is a professional. And this kind of grief has happened to me, and it was very confusing when I experienced it. And I thought maybe I would share a little bit. And it is called anticipatory grief. Anticipatory grief comes before an actual event, be it a loss of someone that you know is ill and probably terminal, or the letting go of a marriage, or the moving out of a job and into something else. And you're thinking about it. Anticipatory grief can even be around things that you have, starting things that you've longed for. Is the letting go of the things that you have been surrounded with. But most of the time, when I'm looking at this, I'm referring to people. And what I have found, I have a husband who has a chronic illness, and he's quite a bit older than me too, also. Um, it has been challenging because he's always been very, very healthy. And I assumed we would have a lot of really good years ahead of us. And we probably still will. It's just that we've been faced with some uncertainty over his condition. So I catch myself, man, I tell you what, when we needed to get him diagnosed, I was just like a soldier. We're going to get this done. I did my research. I really started turning over stones because identifying this particular illness, because it is really rare, not a lot of doctors know about it. And I had a hunch that this is what he had. And so we had to really kind of like push a boulder uphill to get him diagnosed. And eventually, lo and behold, it was found that he does indeed have this particular disease. So the reason that I'm saying that is because when you are caught up in the momentum of this goal of making sure that treatment is found, that you are attending to the needs of your loved one, it gives you this drive and this purpose, and it's like you feel invincible. And I don't mean in a way where it's like a conceited thing, like I'm all that. No, it's nothing like that. What it seems to be more along the lines of is that you have the spirit of whatever it takes. You know that you have to take care of business, and you know that the need is dire, and so you step up and you do it. And with that, you feel energized, probably running partly on adrenaline if it's really acute. And I found that when I was doing that, on a subconscious level, I would also kind of ruminate over, well, what'll it be like when the time comes that I don't have him? And I would kind of imagine how that might feel. And because I was in this place of strength with trying to attend and find treatment, and I need to add that my husband is very capable still. He's not bedridden. It's nothing like that. It's just that this particular illness that he has is a progressive thing. And so I would catch myself kind of pondering, well, how am I going to get through, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to make sure that he has everything that he needs, and that I am a good partner and a good wife, and that I'm able to care for him in any way that he needs? And then I would find that out of the blue, I would have this weird, overwhelming anxiety that didn't seem to be attached to anything. what I found out is that my intellectual brain was figuring everything out. This is what needs to be done next. My emotional brain and my heart were sad and afraid because the thought of not having him one day was still tucked behind all this confidence and energy and, again, the spirit of whatever it takes. And so what was happening to me is behind that, I was experiencing anticipatory grief. I was grieving and I didn't recognize the signs. It showed up to me with anxiety that didn't seem to have a reason. It's like, what is this? What is this? So it can come on like sadness. It can feel like fatigue or remorse. It can impact your concentration. A lot of people have a hard time sleeping, kind of like regular grief, where, you may have a lack of appetite, you may have sleeplessness, you may have bouts of crying, any of the things that you might experience with grief, you can experience with anticipatory grief. But the difference is that with grief, people usually know why the heck they're having it. And with anticipatory grief, it is insidious because it is a sneaky thing. It is almost like it's like a subconscious rehearsal. Now think about that. I believe that, all of us on some level are aware that if we have a partner, one day, one of you won't be there. And we go through the motions and get crabby at one another and live our lives, yada, yada, yada. But when you stop and you think about that, it really can pull you up short, and it can do a couple things. It can give you a deeper appreciation, which is really, really precious. Or it can put you into a bit of a tailspin if you dwell on it too long. So what I have learned is that when I am my most confident, sorting through things, even if it's a trip or a move or a major change, a career move, any of those things where a shift is going to occur, but particularly when it comes down to the potential of having your mate not be with you anymore, and you're anticipating that, I think the telltale sign, again, for me, is when I feel like I am invincible, that I have all of this energy and my focus is on getting this task done and making sure that I get everything as prepared and cared for, and I do all that I can do to offset anything negative. But see, your heart knows. Your heart already knows. Intellectually, you're telling yourself, I've got to get these things done. And by golly, you do. But your heart knows. And your heart is carrying the grief already. It's already there. And so pretty soon, it starts kind of tapping on your insides a little. And you will start to feel it. You'll feel it in your spirit. You'll feel it physically. You won't know oftentimes where it's coming from. And this, my dear, is to help you to understand that when you have those sensations and they feel like they come just out of the blue, give this some thought, because grief will show up. And I will close with this. Even though one day we all know that we will lose people that we love, that is a fact of life. As long as we live here, there will be people who leave us. And we cannot prepare ourselves for that day. I think even when someone we know is not going to be with us very long, I'm talking about people with a diagnosis that is pretty short. I know that when my dad was on hospice, it was a time of great reflection and of spending time with him. He was 90. And it was just precious, the time that we had toward the end with him. And I would say we were as ready as we could have been. But there is nothing like the quiet. There is nothing like not having that person. You can't really prepare yourself for what that is going to feel like. And so my advice, if I may, is don't try. Don't try to know what it'll feel like. If you catch yourself trying it on, you don't really know how you'll feel. You don't really know what the circumstances will be. And I think that the best that we can do and should do is to just grab hold of the times that we do have. My husband gave me a garden plaque engraved in concrete a while back, and I don't remember the poet. I think it might have been Tennyson, not sure. It says, "Grow old along with me. The best is yet to be." And I kind of rolled my eyes, not at him, but at the saying, because I was probably 50. And I thought, yeah, boy, I don't know, this just seems pretty rugged. And then he got into his 70s and then his mid-70s. And he started to have these health problems. And I tell you what, now I understand. I understand because it is so sweet. These times are so precious. He is not the man he used to be. He can't be. But I wouldn't trade him for that man that he was. So grief will show up when it needs to. If you feel grief ahead of time, know what the signs are, acknowledge it, feel it, and recognize that that is also a very normal process, that your heart is telling you that you're sad, that something is going to be gone. And don't try to predict how it will feel to you, what your circumstances will be. But the thing to put your energy into, not out of fear and not out of sadness, but of that place that is ripe and sensuous as we grow older and watch our partners do the same thing, and grab hold of it. Just grab hold of it. Squeeze every bit of joy and daylight that you can. Take care.